Okay, right. So let's move on anyway. Enough of that. Enough of that fucking those weird takes. All right, let's move on. We're gonna watch a video about the stonks thing, but it's gonna come from a slightly different, a slightly different angle. So this is Trevken, who's currently in chat. Okay. So what I want you to do in chat right now, okay, is go and follow Trevken. Now look. Trevken, we'll watch the video and I'll judge for yourself. But there's the channel, okay? If you want to get into it, alright? Okay, let's watch this video. The truth, how resistance became compliance. The WSP Robinhood GameStop Citadel scam. I think I know the angle that Trevken's going to go with here. Because, okay, let me just make something clear with this, okay? I did like a segment on stream about the stonks thing. And I, gave my thoughts, prefaced it a lot, so I don't really know much about this stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I spoke about it. I looked at the segment after. I was like, do you know what? Like, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I was just giving my takes on breaking news. I hate breaking news as it is. So, it didn't go out on YouTube or anything like that, But I've watched other content about it, and I've watched lots of other people give their takes about it, and a lot of them are much more informed or educated than I am about this. And I've got my own perspectives that have developed since I spoke about it. Anyway, let's watch Trevken's video, and we'll go from there. All right, let's get into this. Oh, it's on quiet mode.
As you all have probably heard, the latest meme is that the little guys are bringing down the elites. That's what you'd think if you'd listened to pretty much any alternative media from the populist left and right, and most of the traditional media in fact. But what I think is really happening is that these amateur traders are actually helping one hedge fund defeat another to consolidate their power using regular people and leftists to raise the price and squeeze their competitor. But the version of events that you've probably heard is that it's the regular man taking down the hedge funds in a grassroots populist movement from the left and the right. That seems to be the story that sells the best anyway. As the left collectively and belatedly realises the influencers like comedian Jimmy Dore.
Trevco, what are you trying to say? Are these people brainlets, are you trying to say? I think, okay, so look, I think, here's the thing, right? Listen, here's the thing. Okay? It's a good story. And I wouldn't be as harsh as Trevken is being here to say that they're like brainlets or whatever. My perspective is that, like, whilst I think there's some people that might be using it as some sort of grift, maybe, it's a nice story, isn't it? And what's the thing? It's like, oh, what's that saying? It's like, comforting lies are better than unpleasant truths, right? Do you see what I mean? So I think that if you've spoken about this and have bought into the story or whatever, like, yeah, I don't think you're like stupid or anything. I did. I was fucking well into, but I've watched a lot more content about it now, and I've come to other conclusions. So let's see if I and Trev can agree. Anyway, let's get into this.
That seems to be the story that sells the best anyway. As the left collectively and belatedly realises the influencers like comedian Jimmy Dore and the regular RT anchor Caleb Maupin aren't really their friend. They're now instead making friends with a load of racist 4chan trolls who have managed to convince them that they're destroying rich people by holding the bags on a pump and dump scheme.
Wait a sec, sorry, that's a bit great. What did I say? Did someone finally find a way of beating them at their game? Pretty much. These people bet a lot of money on GameStop stock selling for less than they sold them for after borrowing them for someone else. So now that price has ballooned, they're taking billions in losses covering it. It's probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Pump and dump scheme. I know this will most likely get downvoted to oblivion for saying this right now, but I'd rather be honest and maybe help some regular people from getting dumped on. You're never the popular person bringing the bad news to a party. I've already started hemorrhaging Twitter followers for saying this.
Oh shit.
But are people seriously trusting alt-right influencers like Tim Pool and Sargon of Akkad, who are encouraging people to put their stimulus checks into...
Call your broker and say, take my GME shares up my street name and put them in your name. This subtracts these shares from being eligible to short and will put more damaging pressure on hedge funds. Yeah, listen, can I be real with you, okay? This is something I was thinking about earlier, right? Listen. Okay. I used to work in financial services. I sold insurance. And to be an advisor in financial services, you need to have qualifications that are set by the government, right? And whilst I'm not suggesting the system is entirely perfect, you do at least need to have some qualifications in order to issue financial advice to people. Because the thing is, it's very complicated. But also on top of that, financial advice is going to be different for every single person dependent on what their goals are, right? So there's some people who, even if they could make a lot of money or whatever doing this GameStop thing, that might not be relevant for their financial position and their financial circumstances. Do you see what I mean? So whilst I appreciate some people enjoying it and some people liking the meme and whatever, I think, and I said this on my other stream, you shouldn't be like giving financial advice to people. Like, this is financial advice. You shouldn't do it unless you're qualified. Do you know what I mean? And it's one thing, like, for a bunch of random people on this Reddit or whatever. You go there, you make your own mind up. But if someone's got a big platform, I think you've got to be really careful in terms of what specifically you say and what guidance or recommendations you give. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that, like, you do need to have, like, you should only take advice from someone where you've got that confidence that, like, they've got some sort of qualification or something to demonstrate that they know what they're talking about. Do you see what I mean?
Pump and dump scheme.
As in, the guys throwing in for a meme are going to lose their money.
They want to lose their money.
That's kind of the point.
They want to lose their money because them losing their money makes you lose your...
I changed my rent payment to credit card through my 2.5 rent to the dip. This is not financial advice, you crazy bastard. He's aren't we all? Oh, by the way, sorry, in covering this, I want to point something out to everyone, okay? Because I sort of went on to the thing and I was like, saying, look, we need to be a bit, like, you need to understand that there's a broad spectrum of people on this subreddit, right? It's not just like one person or this person, that person. There's lots of different types of people, right? And you see a lot of them calling each other retard, right? And I appreciate that some people don't like that word. But what I found out, and take this how you will, basically the reason they call each other retard is because it's an anagram of trader. Now, obviously, whether you think that's okay or not is like up to you. But that's the reason that they do it. Okay, it's not just like they're like, it's not like they're like, oh yeah, we're just going to be edgy and say the word. I mean, it's spicy or whatever. But yeah, that's the reason that they call each other these terms normally. So yeah. Anyway, let's. Sorry to keep interjecting. Let's do the video. I just want to add my input on top, I guess.
More money, and you lose a lot more money than they lose.
Yeah, like they lose.
I did exactly this. Cancelled rent auto payments. Asked the wife's boyfriend for permission to put it on a credit card. I think that's another meme as well. They joke about having to ask their wife's boyfriend for permission. Why do they call each other autists? Because people call each other autistic as an insult, and it's obviously it's not cool. It's not cool, but that's they're from 4chan, aren't they? But I'm just highlighting to you that the reason that word is so prevalent is for that reason. I mean, obviously they probably would call each other that anyway, but it's just an interesting angle to it, Yeah, they're basically just 4chan people on Reddit. Yeah, of course. The reason is edginess. I mean, sure, yeah, whatever. But you get my point. Because the reason I mentioned that is I saw them calling each other it, and in some context I was like, what? That doesn't even make sense to call them that in that context. But then I was like, oh right, that you're calling them a trader, but being edgy while you're doing it,
2%, well, it's not much to them, but you lose 2%.
$300 or whatever that was given to them by the government.
You lose $6 billion if you lose 2%.
Exactly, so that they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
We've only just managed to get money printed for regular people, and they've already found a way of injecting it back into the stock market rather than giving to the people. Of course, you also have the usual suspects of faux leftists and supposed populists like Glen Greenwald, also pushing them.
Oh no! I like Glen Greenwald and Sean McCarthy. It's pretty incredible the amount of concentrated power they can bring to bear when needed. The media, the government, the corporations are not separate. They're one large entity acting in tandem. I mean, I don't know. Like, I did think the Discord banning was pretty sus.
The narrative that it's the little guy against the establishment.
What's this? Leave the poor defensive stock market alone. If it only sought to spectacular record highs during a pandemic while the sex economy crash. It's crucial that people understand this. The corporate journalists are not going to rest until they have the power to control and censor every competing platform. The primary goal of corporate journalism is not informing the public, but clinging to power by ensuring a captive audience.
But you also have popular left tubers like the Serfs and Vaush pushing the same narrative.
The Stunk Six is hysterical, and I'm just glad everyone except hedge funds managers is having fun.
And also, the Serfs were trying to push the narrative.
Wall Street Bets getting a discourse over tanked media is pretty telling.
The same as Sargon of Akkad, that the Wall Street Bets Discord server was banned for market manipulation, even though they confirmed it was for hate speech.
No, yeah, it wasn't banned for. Yeah, no, that's wrong. It was banned. It was banned because of hate speech. I thought the timing was a bit suspect. You could make the argument that oh well, it's only because they got a lot of public attention. In fact, Discord actually reversed the decision and were helping them to moderate the server apparently. So yeah, I don't know. Watch how fast you see regulation passed against people doing this, because this time it's the wrong people manipulating the market.
Millions of normies and lefties flooded a space filled with alt-right.
Okay, so this guy, Chris Siliza, right? He's essentially like a culture warrior who works for CNN. I watch a lot of his videos, actually. He basically does the same thing that we do, and talks about the culture thing. And so I'm not surprised that he sees Trumpism in what's happening here. But to be honest with you, I kind of agree with him.
There's a sort of strain of populism, but his argument is that it's some kind of, like with the other guy saying this some kind of related to racism on the alt-right or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course this is all absolute nonsense. They know it's nonsense, but they part of the swamp people, so they've got to take down.
Is it nonsense though?
I think it is nonsense that Wall Street Bet is full of racists. Like, they're just objectively not. Like, most of them are not white by the looks of it, so
But
it'd be pretty weird.
I mean, look. Here's the thing. I hate this everyone tries to spit. There's a mix of people on there. Okay, that's the fucking truth. Are there some racists on there? Yeah, sure. There are people on there that are like desperate. There's a fucking. It's not just like racist. There's different types of people on there, and I think people trying to spin it, and it happened. It happened as well. It's happened before with other things where people try and spin certain things to fit their own narrative, and that's what they're doing here, basically. I don't know.
That's not what he's saying though. What he's saying is Trumpism is a revolt of these small people against the establishment.
If he was using it in that language, I'd agree. But
I think that's what he means.
But as with the previous examples, talking about the alt-right, shut up.
But they can't distinguish between the two.
But, you can say this all you want, but what's actually happened, whether we like it or not, is that, no, they are apparently engaging in hate speech, and they are alt-right hateful people, as Discord has confirmed by shutting down their Discord.
Oh, why wouldn't they?
They shut down our Wall Street Bet server for hate speech, glorifying violence, and spreading misinformation.
Like the stocks is now misinformation.
To be clear, we did not ban the server due to financial fraud related to GameStop or other stocks. It's like
well, that's good, because what fraud has occurred here?
They can't claim that they've broken the law because they haven't. So they're just saying, we took them down for hate speech.
Yeah.
Name the hate speech. Like, they've got nothing. It's just these people are.
I mean, wait. Hang on. How does he know that? How can he know that they've got nothing? I mean, look. I'll be honest, okay. So having thought about this a bit more, like, I think maybe the timing was like a bit weird, but again, you could make the argument that it's because they got a lot of public attention. But I still think that maybe there's something going. I don't fucking know, okay. But I don't think it's unreasonable to suggest that if on Reddit they're calling each other autistic and stuff like this, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that maybe there was some stuff in their Discord that might be against TOS. And I think further to that as well, particularly bearing in mind these people are from 4chan, like, 4chaners can be edgy boys, like, it's like, and girls and MBs. It's the reality that, there probably was some shit going down. I don't fucking know. The reality is, I don't fucking know what was on that Discord. I'm not in the Discord, okay? They obviously banned them because of the GME stuff. I don't know. That's quite an extraordinary claim. We'd need some extraordinary evidence to prove that's true. I think for me, you can question the timing of it and say, well, why didn't they care before? Which I think is a fair question. But yeah, I think that, like, it's not unreasonable to think maybe there was some stuff on there that could have broke TOS. Anyway,
the synchronization of all these narratives, it's us versus them. But sorry, let's go on.
Yeah, Elon Musk responded to this, saying that even Discord has gone corpo. I assume he means like corporate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really that. It's the
Elon Musk
again. Like they run everything.
But this narrative of
SOWs.
the little guy versus the big guy, is it really true? The reality is that it's looking increasingly like a battle between two limited liability hedge funds competing against each other on either side of the trade, but with one side using regular people to help squeeze their competitor. The GameStop price has big institutional market makers supporting the price. Stock prices aren't sustained by buy orders alone, and activity continued trading even after retail investors from Robinhood were stopped from trading. The buy support is most likely fake and weak with lots of slippage in most cases anyway, but it's still there and it's helping
Slippage refers to the difference between the expected price of a trade and the price at which trade is executed. Okay.
to pump the price. The majority of the volume on both sides is coming from Wall Street rather than retail investors anyway. And in this thread, by someone else who has been analysing the order books on Robinhood, he notes that Citadel, the company who loaned Melvin Capital the bailout, is most likely the market maker pushing up the price. So is this one hedge fund going after another, bankrupt their rival and then buy them out to consolidate their power? It certainly looks that way. When Biden doesn't bail out Melvin Capital, the other hedge fund, probably Citadel, who lent them $3 billion, will gobble them up. They've already made a killing in interest on that loan. It also looks like Citadel is the market maker front-running the Robinhood trades too. Robinhood was marketed to young people and non-investors. So while actual Wall Street is warning that the prices are overvalued at the tail end of a bubble, the establishment have somehow managed to convince leftists and anti-establishment types to hold the bags when the music stops. The irony here really can't be overlooked.
Yeah.
The line is the new HODL gang.
HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang, HODL gang. Throw your hands in the air, man. If you down with the blockchain. I ain't got
Yeah, I've got to say, like, I don't like this idea that there's people that are like getting on board. People that are getting on board now, and they're getting told to get on board as like a, you know, oh, get on board and we'll stick it to the man. Like, there's a lot of trust here. There's a lot of trust here in like strangers on a Reddit forum. Do you know what I mean? Would you trust a Redditor? Who here would trust a Redditor? You know, like this original guy. This original guy that, like, you know, put in like 50k. What's he gonna do? Like, I don't know. I just couldn't put that level of trust in someone. In fact, let me tell you a quick story. Sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent and tell you a quick story, okay? So, I used to know someone who I worked with, okay, who did BitConnect. Who remembers BitConnect? BitConnect was based. I don't know much about crypto. It was basically some like cryptocurrency derivative or something, and it was like a pyramid scheme basically. It was like, you know, and basically he got everyone on board with BitConnect, right? So he got all the people, all his friends, all his colleagues, all his family, all got on board with this BitConnect thing, right? They had, like, some people had tens of thousands of pounds invested. Then one day, guess what? BitConnect went down the fucking toilet. It went down the toilet. And it's like, I trusted, you know, I didn't get involved in it. I didn't have any money at the time to do so anyway. But I trusted him. I thought he was a good guy. I thought he was a reasonable guy. He sounded like he knew what he was talking about. But if I'd have trusted him and if I'd have listened to him, I'd have lost money. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but like, if I can't trust some fucking dude I work with to give me sound financial advice, then yeah. You know, the reality is, okay, unless you know what you're doing, unless you know this shit, you need to go and see a financial advisor. Do not take advice from random people on the internet. In fact, you know, if you're going to do this, what you're better off doing is going and finding some bookie or someone who talks about betting and just go and do traditional gambling. Not that I'm advocating for that, but to me, it would make more sense, because with a football match, it's like, well, I can get a tip off someone who knows about this stuff and maybe get some money out of it. But like, you know, and it's like easy, isn't it? It's like, who wins the fucking match? Not like these fucking stocks where it's potentially impenetrable. And it was nice. Like, there were some stories of people making money out of this and then going and using the money to do nice things with. Like people paying for fucking, you know, surgery for their dog or whatever. Like, that's cool. But fuck me, don't fucking hop on board late. That's fucking a recipe for disaster. Or if you want to, consult with someone in the know. Consult with someone who's got some knowledge, someone you can trust, you know. And the other thing as well is here's the thing, right? If you go to a financial advisor and they give you like bad advice, right? You've potentially got some recourse under the law dependent on the circumstances. Like if a financial advisor advises you to do something and you do it and it goes wrong and it turns out like, I don't know obviously the detail of the individual case, but you can go to the government and say, hey, look, this fucking person fucked me over. You know, I fucking used to read, because I'm a fucking nerd, I used to read decisions from a financial ombudsman, and often they would like look at a case and be like, yeah, this person was given financial advice that was really bad, and therefore we decided to fucking, you know, whatever, like pay out a fucking like, what do you call it? You know, they can get companies to pay out a fee for fucking it up, like a penalty. They have a fiduciary responsibility. Yeah, precisely. And the thing is as well is obviously they've got that education to you know, understand how these things work. So yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't know. I just think it's really important if it's your money. If it's your money, fucking make sure you get the right advice before you do anything with it. Don't fucking, you know, go off what people on the internet say. Like, Jesus Christ, that's the worst thing you can do.
Time for the haters, man. We about to grow to $1 million.
All of you big leftists and influencers who are encouraging this next big scam where leftists are held holding their bags are going to get remembered. Did nobody ever tell you that the big guys always win? Do you think you're defeating the hedge?
Yes, I said this as well. I said this in my fucking coverage. The house always wins. The house always wins, okay? The house always fucking wins. Like, I don't know. Oh, God.
Hedge funds, or actually more rather pension funds. The hedge fund managers are hedge funds. They limit their liability. Individual investors don't have that luxury. People on r/Wall Street bets are currently staking their next few months' mortgage payments and taking out loans on leverage. They're not just doing this as a joke for the memes. I hope I don't need to explain why this is bad, to encourage poor people to take out loans and take this kind of risk. After all, the GameStop Melvin Capital bump isn't the first time in history a meme was speculated on anyway. Nearly 500 years ago this happened with tulips, and these cycles of mania still continue to happen every time a collective memory fades long enough for the scams to be pulled again. Even the MSNBC hosts are sniggering behind your backs as they pretend to lose their Lamborghinis. This is the scheme to soak up all the stimulus checks. The party might not end today, but when it does, so many regular people are going to get cheated out of their money. This will go down in history books as the biggest exit scam before a bout of financial regulation.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I really do think that people are trying to, you know, this, it seems to me, it does seem like a pump and dump, right? It's just we're seeing the pumping. We're seeing the pumping, but we haven't seen the dump yet. Will we, won't we? The thing is, right, here's the reality. Here's the reality, okay? If it's a pump and dump, okay, imagine, okay, I don't know much about financial markets. Imagine this, though. This is a situation I think might occur, okay? So, you've got these big hedge funds, right? Some have shorted the stock, so they're going to benefit from the price going down, and then another hedge fund is going to benefit from the price going up, right? So let's say the price goes up, it reaches like a point at which they think, the people that are hoping it will go up, the big hedge funds, they're going to be like, oh sweet, it's gone to a high price, right, sell our fucking million stock or whatever. They make a shitload of money, right? The hedge funds that are holding stock start to sell, the price starts to go down, and the trading firms that have shorted the stock are like, sweet, it's coming back down again, we can now sell and not lose as much, or we can get to a point where we can even make money on it, say, right? That happens. Which group then is left with all this stock? Which group then is left with all this fucking stock that they paid potentially like $100, hundreds of dollars for, that's now fucking worthless compared to what they paid for it, right? Now look, I don't know much about financial markets, but that series of events just kind of makes sense to me. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to have a chat with Trev Ken. If you're ready, Trev Ken, yeah, join into the green room on my Discord, and I'll pull you into the chat of the stream. Hello, my fellow Britbonger.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are
Oh,
you?
mute you on here 1 second. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I'm glad you didn't take it too bad. So as I was saying in the chat, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on this,
Okay.
looking into it a bit further in terms of what we could do in terms of if there was kind of a real kind of an activist kind of investor kind of culture even. But I just don't think this is it. I think this is just two different hedge funds going after each other, and that's another thing that I think is potentially a bad thing, the more consolidation of power of hedge funds, because a lot of people don't know this. I was watching a documentary while I was making my other video about cyberpunk and defeating capitalism, is that hedge funds in the 1970s became the primary kind of push for anti-worker interests, because they started doing things like the corporate raiders. So there was actually they came from England. So Brit bangers again. Sorry, once again, someone called I forget his name, but there were a group of investors that came in from the UK into the US and raided all the corporations in America. And America was actually the corporations in America, believe it or not, were actually very kind of good corporations. There were corporate responsibility in the 1930s and 40s was quite a big thing, and they were kind of working for the community. And then we sent in a load of our investors to cut out all the old experience, offshore, outsource, and we got rid of that culture of corporate responsibility and replaced it with a culture of corporate raiders. And the people who took that on, that culture, was then, and whenever there's layoffs in a corporation, the stock prices shoot, and they have to do those kind of things because they have a fiduciary responsibility. That fiduciary responsibility is good for small investors, but it's actually really bad for us collectively, because they have to do the worst things to make money for the pension funds.
Okay. No, that's interesting.
So if you think about it, the consolidation of power of pension funds could be a bad thing for workers as well. So they could be working against themselves even.
Yeah.
So alternatively, what we could do is have a block of investors that are actually insisting that the corporations do good things and do things for corporate responsibility,
So what you're suggesting is that in the meantime, at least, we have a group of people that get involved in this kind of stuff and invest and whatnot. In order to
maybe separate, maybe a separate group of investors that aren't Wall Street bets that are kind of more towards activist investors. That seems like a good thing that could come of this. And maybe if a lot of people do lose the money, there could be a bout of regulation. But I doubt it. I really do doubt it, because after every market crash, it's just how markets work, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. No, that's an interesting concept, and I mean, I kind of like that idea as well, because I'm not super interested in the nuts and bolts of economics. I don't really talk about it that much, but I do think that it's good to have some sort of knowledge of how things work, especially if you want to comment on it regularly. And I think there's some lefties comment on this stuff without really understanding it. I don't know if you feel like that as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, if it was really just to take down one particularly bad hedge fund that was really bad for, advocating for workers' rights or funding, people like Koch, that kind of Koch brothers type of anti-workers kind of propaganda, and we wanted to take them down specifically, I'd be all for that and doing a short squeeze on them specifically. But it just doesn't look like that's it. It's more of a scheme just to get more rich people richer, and have lots of small minnows get dumped on, because that's how those markets work.
Yeah, sure. I mean, is it just? Would I be correct in saying that although it's now these big hedge funds that are battling each other, it did initiate and start with these people noticing this?
I think it did. Yeah. So I looked into the original thread that started, and it's quite an ingenious way that they've and I do find it quite funny now. But I think that it's turned into not just a joke. It's become more of a. There are genuinely lefties online that I've got lots of examples on Twitter where they really think that they're kind of, somehow doing an anti-capitalism by holding bags rather than not selling, and it's like, yeah, that hurts my brain to hear that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my like I say, I'm not looking to give financial advice, but I think if it was me and I had this shareholding and it shot up in price and it looked like it was going to decrease, then I don't know, I'd feel very uncomfortable holding on to it because, like you say, you're the one holding the bag then, right? And you could potentially be subject to the implications. But okay, so
well, that's the thing. It's quite cultish because I've tried to nail a few of them down on Twitter and say, what will come from this? What actually do you want to happen from if this pension hedge fund does go down or whatever? If you manage to succeed in doing that and you lose your money, because there was, in fact, can you open a link to me? I'll send you a link.
Send it to my Discord DMs because I don't work on YouTube chat.
But basically, the people were saying, look, and it really did get me quite, because a lot of 87,000 people liked this tweet.
Let's have a look.
Where should I post it? Sorry.
I'll post it in my Discord DMs. It doesn't work. Yeah, just Discord DM it to me. YouTube chat doesn't allow links.
There you go. If you ever read through that.
Okay, let's have a look.
And it's like a sob story, and it's just I think that was written by some hustler. I don't think that was written by.
Wait, this
So
Chameth
I've been
guy
told that this is a
he?
real person, and he really does want to lose his money just to stick it to the man. But I've tried to get them to say, well, explain to me in what way is that going to benefit you, or in what way, how. But yeah, just read through it anyway. It's quite entertaining anyway.
Okay, so I've struggled and I've always dealt with debt, and I live my entire life paycheck to paycheck for my entire adult life. If you think prospect of losing a few $100s, Ivan GME is going to scare me into selling before Friday. You couldn't be more wrong. When you have average like $1,000 in your checking account, what's the difference when it's $100 or $10? I mean, quite a bit, no? Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
You know, if I had like, I don't know, what's the equivalent, like 700 quid versus 70 quid versus £7.
Exactly. And this is the point that Sargon of Akkad was making. He was like, oh, but it doesn't matter anything to these poor people anyway because they haven't got anything. It's just that really makes my blood boil. And I could tell this isn't genuine. This is the same stuff that Sargon of Akkad was saying.
Yeah, I don't think, like, I'm sure people in chat who like haven't got a load of money will appreciate that, like, you know, if you've got $1,000 in your account and you're not very wealthy or you don't have much money, then yeah, that's
that difference is much bigger than to a hedge fund.
Yeah, like, yeah, of course. Like, if you know, who in chat would happily, you know, have $1,000 in their account turn into $10 like overnight without doing anything? I'm pretty sure most people wouldn't want that. Do you have any idea how many times I've been there before? You know what I do when I'm completely fucking broke? I literally shrug my shoulders and play some video games or music until my next paycheck, and I'll do it again. I'm not here to get rich overnight. I don't have enough to invest to make it happen. I'm here to say fuck you and be part of this moment. This is a movement. I'll never sell, never. I don't even care about the money at this point. If I never see it again, it makes no difference to me. I have to go right back to work tomorrow and the next day, next week, and next month, next year. There isn't a single thing you can say or do. Here's my position. I risk my money happily. I'm not in the least bit scared or worried. You might be a financial expert. I'm a survival master. Power to the people. I will not sell.
Yeah, there is another
yeah,
another page of that as well.
Okay, let's read this one. I see you've got some YouTube comments there. Let's focus on the Reddit post. A message to everyone on Wall Street from someone with nothing to lose. You only think you're in control. Yeah, who are these people?
So to be honest, the sentiment has changed a little bit on Wall Street bets, and so it was crazy on the day that I did that video. And I think that I was kind of picking up on the meme. I'm glad to see that a lot of people are being a lot more responsible on there now. And giving there's still a lot of crazies on there, don't get me wrong, that are still just doing this bump stuff. But yeah, I found a few examples of people giving better advice now anyway. But at the time, it was just like mania crazy with the top things with like 100,000 upvotes. I've never seen any Reddit posts with so many posts, and they were just stupid. And yeah, I think it's part of the meme that I was kind of not getting, but I think still a lot of those people would just end it on that day and not think about it anymore, and just still, you know, just lose their money thinking they've somehow stuck it to the man. And I don't think.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I think that there needs to be a bit of an opposite narrative. To be honest, there was just too much agreement, like Sargon was saying, too much coherence of the narrative that it was sticking it to the man. When actually, I think it's just more consolidation of power.
Yeah, sure. No, that's really interesting. And for me, it's like, I think like as a lefty, like I'm interested in like, the truth. And if the truth is it's about these big, massive conglomerates slap fighting each other to see who comes out on top, it's like, well, I don't really care about that. Like, well, I do care about it in terms of like, what I care about is a working class person who's built up in all this, thinking they're sticking it to the man, or thinking they can make money off of it, and ended up losing thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars or whatever it is,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was my point.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. Listen, thanks for coming on and elaborating on some of your thoughts a bit further. I really appreciate it. Do you want to? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Or
I'm going to just plug my channel and just go
ahead. Yeah,
what I do and that's good. Yeah, so like I kind of, I'm like you. I've never really worked in the financial world, but I used to work kind of doing designing kind of public services actually, and that's why I'm kind of so anti-neoliberal. I'm not like a far left kind of person really. I'm more of a kind of Keynesian kind of person. I'm getting quite more and more into economics. I've been writing a book about it, doing a SWOT analysis of economic systems I've been working on that for a few years, but mostly I've just been working on putting out videos for the YouTube channel. My last video I did, I'm quite proud of. It's the economics of cyberpunk. I think that's a little bit underrated at the moment. That needs a few more views. I think you'll enjoy that, where I talk about the history of economics, and I try and do it in an interesting way. I'm also doing a bit more kind of game and music analysis. That's the next thing I'm doing. What else? Yeah, so like I said, I'm quite anti-neoliberal, but I'm still quite. So I wanted to discuss my criticism of Corbyn. I think you mentioned you were talking about Corbyn before.
Oh yeah.
But even though, like, I totally agree with all of his policies, I think he oversold the socialism part of it. But really, that was kind of dishonest. It was a bit of a lie. It wasn't really like the rhetoric he was using. Yes, it was kind of market socialism, but it wasn't. I think it made people too. And Bernie Sanders as well a little bit. I think he was a little bit too kind of, they scared the establishment too much, when really, when you look at what they were offering, I think most moderates would have really agreed with it, but I think a lot of people were kind of scared off by the rhetoric, even though it was good to get those non-votes out. There just weren't as many of those non-voters as we think, so there has to be a bit more working with the kind of centre-left kind of thing.
Yes, I mean, socialism is a bit of a dirty word, isn't it, unfortunately, and lots of people get turned off by it.
Yeah, unfortunately, becoming more and more so. But I'm not really a fan of Starmer either. I'm kind of in between Corbyn and Starmer's kind of
I get that
stance.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm still kind of. I would prefer, like, in the sheets, I'm kind of a bit of an anarchist as well. But
okay, interesting. Bit spicy.
Yeah, I appreciate anarchist thought. I just think it's like a little bit, futurist. It's a bit futurist thought, really, rather than.
Yeah, you're more interested in like what we can do in the here and now, other than
totally.
looking at what might come in, say, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years time.
And also economics as well. So like I said, I've worked in like private outsourcing public services, and I knew at the time, like I felt bad that's why I wouldn't work in that kind of environment again. Because it was just kind of I knew it was bad. It was doing me mental health bad, and then Corbyn came along and explained exactly how kind of it was adding to the income inequality gap of just outsourcing and privatizing more of our public services. That's why it kind of gave me a different vantage point. And I think that a lot of people, I think it would just be better just to undo a lot of those things, really, rather than try and focus on a completely stateless, society, or moneyless. And that's the other thing I disagree. I think we'll always need an accounting system. Coming from finance a little bit myself, I did a bit of accounting, and I think that the reason is that I think that we'd always need to account for bad decisions, for bad investments, and for, especially because we're entering the sixth mass extinction event, aren't we? With climate change and things, we do need to be efficient. So we'll always need like an accounting system to account for things,
Sure, yeah. I mean,
I know it's quite boring in the accounting sense and all that, but I think we sometimes need a bit of a wake-up call and realise that we can't just have completely moneyless, and decommodify everything.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I feel like we're getting into like, I don't want to have like a discussion necessarily about this kind of stuff right now. But I think certainly, if you want to have like an education or find more about Trev Ken's perspectives and economics and stuff like that, I've put the link to the channel in chat.
Cool.
So yeah, head on over there. Check out the Cyberpunk video. Recommended. And thanks so much for coming on, Trev Ken. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
And I'll speak to you soon. Okay.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.
I'm not fucking talking economics on a Sunday. Okay, fuck that shit. But no, Trev Ken's videos are good. You should go check them out. Even if you might disagree with some of the stuff that he says. I mean, you might well do. He's a sock down after all, but.